Sounded like you were pretty pleased with practice the last couple of days. Did the kids really respond well?
Yeah, we had 2 really good days. You know, practices are not exactly easy at this time of the year, but these last two days have been really good. We've had great concentration to what we were trying to do, and the energy level was really high, and we got a lot done. Hopefully that translates into or transfers over to to more of these, and then and Friday night, anytime you don't play in a particular way that you're used to playing, you can drive yourself crazy trying to figure out why. And it's usually just a couple things, that couple breakdowns, and you try to address those and move on. Thanks, Ann.
Hearing you talk to your players after practice saying, you guys need to pick the energy back up when it starts to lag.
Yeah.
Who do you look to do that on this team?
Well, it's funny, like on some teams, it's just automatic, like some kids just, by their nature, that's who they are, and then sometimes depends on how a person's playing. So somebody's having a great game, things are going great, they're all like dialed in, and if somebody's struggling, they're all cave into themselves. So I usually try to approach our veterans, what few we have, to remind them that that whether it's in practice or in games, there are going to be those lulls, and how quickly you come out of them is going to determine, a lot of times what direction the game is going to go. So it's not avoiding them; it's how to quickly get out of them, and it falls on your veterans. It falls on Crystal and Meg, especially because they're on the floor and they've played the most basketball of anybody else on the team.
Meg said that was one thing that she tried to do the last couple of days, was try to bring a different kind of energy, that she had kind of let Crystal do that before. Did you see a difference in Meg the last?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it takes players time to learn that when they've never had to be that person, They just assume that someone else will do it. And the analogy that I like to give them all the time is, it's like having a power strip, and if you have too many things plugged into it and you don't have enough juice coming out of it, the things are going to blow up at some point. So you can't expect that all 12 players can be plugged into one person and that person is responsible for the energy of the entire team. It can't be like that. Not one person can't possibly hold up with that the whole season. I remember Diana tried to do it her senior year, and it was a rough year. So it does have to be shared. It does have to be spread around. And there has been a difference in Meg the last 2 days, for sure. A noticeable difference.
She said that you did talk to her, and you had said after the game the other night that if she was going to be the player you thought she could be, she had to change a few things. Was it specifically the energy level, or just a confidence, or?
Well, kids like Meg, they put a lot of stock and a huge premium on scoring points. And my conversations with Meg are always about, that's good, because we need points. I mean, you can't win without them. But what are you going to do when the ball doesn't go in the basket? If you think that's the only way you can impact winning, then we're going to be held hostage to the ball going in. And if the ball doesn't go in, you can't help us win. So there's a myriad of things that players can do to help you win when the ball's not going in. and you got to figure out what those are. And how many rebounds does it take? How many steals does it take? What kind of defense does it take? How many assists does it take? And I think players that are used to being scorers their whole lives never really give that stuff a lot of thought, because their whole lives it's somebody else's job to do the other things. And I think if Meg wants to be the player that I think she can be, or she wants to be, I keep reminding her, using FISA as an example. FISA impacted the game so many different ways. The points were a bonus. I mean, FISA impacted the game whether she had 35 or whether she had 15. And I think Meg took that to heart the last couple of days.
How have you seen Kristen respond, even going, I know she was dealing with the flu, but even going into the Oregon game, it seemed like she was in a little bit of a slump.
Yeah. It's been kind of it's a weird season that she's had so far. She'll have a stretch where she'll have a couple great games in a row, and then she'll have a stretch where, she'll struggle. And so much of it is, that sophomore year, it so depends on how many really good players you have around you. Like her freshman year, she really was like an afterthought on offense, so she got to do whatever she wanted. And the competition that she was playing against, that she wasn't the focal point of what they were trying to stop. So then you get to be a sophomore, and people have watched you play for a whole year, and now you come out and you're trying to do it the exact same way you did it as a freshman, and you realize that everything's harder. The guys you're playing against are better. People are guarding you different because they know that you're a big focal point of our offense. So it's been a series of ups and downs, and the ups have been really, really high, and the lows have not been so great. And I think that's typical of kids during their sophomore year. Liv's probably going through the same thing. There's been some great highs, and there's been some really bad lows. So hopefully, we can settle into some kind of consistent but every day is a new day. Hey, every day is a new day.
On this comfort level, you feel is
Yeah. We're putting the ball in her hands more often now. She's a really good playmaker, and she's got the size to be able to look over defenses, and she's strong enough to get to places. So instead of just using her as more as a scorer, because of her comfort level, and because she's kind of at ease now with herself and with the game, we've tried to put the ball in her hands more often, and it's been good. It's worked out well so far. She can add a lot.
With Anna, you usually talk about freshmen coming out of high school, hitting a freshman wall at this point with so much left in the season, and usually the high schools are starting to wrap up at this point. Does her experience make her different, being, where she played in the professional league?
Maybe.
And the length of?
Maybe. I don't see her. She hit the wall early. She hit it in November, and kind of came out of it. Aubrey seems to be going through that. I can't make a shot anymore. I can't make a layup. I can't, But I think with Anna, it's more of her body's sore. It's not, her mind is really good right now, but her body's really sore. This is probably the most she's ever had to do in her life, The the running up and down the floor for her has been a real awakening. You know, the having to get down on your stance and play defense a lot has been a real eye opener for her. So her mind is good, but her body's just banged up right now. She's just walking around sore all the time, which I mean most college players are at this point in the season. But when you're a freshman, you know, and luckily for her, she is a little bit older. She has more experience. And we were just talking about that today. It's funny you bring that up, that this summer when she gets stronger, gets in the weight room, gets in better shape, you know, everything. She's a heck of a talent, you know, and she's smart. You know, we just need her to have have the ability to make more plays.
Because it seems like she goes really hard for long stretches, which sometimes with freshmen isn't the case.
Yeah.
I don't know what you see, but
Yeah, she does. She tries to anyway. She gets more energized in games than she does in practices. But her practices have been better. And to her credit, she's tried really, really hard to be a better defender. And she's getting a little better. And she's opening her mouth a little bit more. So that whenever people start talking on the court, that means they're starting to get a little comfort zone. That they feel good, you know, because young guys usually don't say boo, and they're awful to play with because you never know what they're going to do next, you know. But she's getting way more comfortable, and she's able to verbalize it. That's why having the ball in her hands too, she's able to direct traffic a little more now. She couldn't do that before.
You mentioned that wall she hit in November. What do you think was how she got over it, and when you saw her kind of
She went home.
How was it?
She went home for a couple of days. We had a conversation before she left. And I said that I don't want the same person that's leaving here coming back. So if you're not going to come back differently, don't come back. And, I was kind of laughing about it, but she knew what I was talking about. You know. We were sitting over there talking about how hard it is to play at Connecticut. That you need a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of courage to play here. Because if you're really struggling, you're going to be exposed, you know. So like a game like Monday night, if you lose, the whole world knows about it. You know, somebody else could lose on that same night to anybody, and it wouldn't matter maybe. But if you're really good here, the rewards are better than they are anywhere else. So because of that, there's a lot of risk involved. You have to risk a lot to get a lot back. So now you come from another country, and it's been your dream to always be here. And then you get here, and I think the natural fear of, what if I'm not good enough? And I'm struggling a little bit, so maybe my dream can't come true. I can't play here. So now you start to talk yourself into this downward spiral. And because you're like that, you're constantly struggling physically, you're struggling mentally. And she just hit a point where it looked like nothing could go right for her. And she came back, and she was different. And she's just built from there. And she's only had one bad episode since she's been here, since she's been back, you know, recently. She had the big high down at East Carolina where she thought she was, you know, the best player in the country. And then our very next game, I don't think she scored. So she went from, I was born to play here, I love this, I'm going to be first team All-American at the end of this year, to 5 days later, you know, devastated. Why? Because the ball didn't go in. You know, young players. If the ball goes in, I love life, life loves me, what could be wrong? Ball doesn't go in, this is the worst place in America to be. I hate basketball, I don't want to play anymore, I want to go home, blah, 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 blah. So much of, is tied into kids today, more so than ever. I'm sure there was before, but more so than ever. The ball going in makes them feel like $1 million. Ball doesn't go in, it's almost like, how can God do this to me? How can that ball not go in? It's just not fair. Like only other people are allowed to miss shots. You're not allowed to miss shots. So I said to her, I remember I said, if I wanted a 12-year-old, I wouldn't have gone all the way to Poland to get a 12-year-old. I said, you're acting like a 10-year-old, actually. And she looked at me and she goes, actually, I'm acting like a 5-year-old. And that's when I said, yeah, she's getting it. She's got a good way about it. She knows how hard this is, and she knows she's also getting through it. And that's why she feels really good about it, that she can laugh at herself when times go bad, as opposed to November, when I think she would have swam home if she missed another 3 back in. It's just, kids are funny these days, man.
We've seen her personality kind of come out
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Little outspokenness, little honesty. Is that something you've seen
Yeah.
too?
Yeah. There's a little more of that. There's a little more of that. She's got a great sense of humor, like most Europeans do. They generally don't take life too seriously like we do here. They're able to laugh at themselves a little bit more. And yeah, each and every day you see another little piece of her that you didn't see before, and she's having fun playing basketball because this is what she came here to do. She's enjoying it, and it's allowing her to show another side as opposed to being so obsessed with, it's not working. She knows it's working. She knows she's good enough to play here. And she's allowing herself to enjoy it a little bit, which has been really good.
You mentioned kind of the ball not going in. How have you seen this group respond to that, perhaps, versus, that was a problem after Baylor, that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then this week, how have they been a little bit different about it?
Yeah. I think the Baylor game was, we got a bunch of really, really good shots and they didn't go in. And that's okay. I thought Monday night that our defense was horrible. So that's a whole different issue. You can live with the ball not going in because, again, that's part of it. But the way we played defensively on Monday night, that's just completely unacceptable. So, I didn't want the focus to be on, anything other than that from Monday night. We're usually one of the better defensive teams in the country. And maybe I spoke too soon a few weeks ago when I said, I'm shocked that our defense is this good this year. Well, the way we were Monday night is what I expected this year. It's just that they had fooled me all this time thinking, maybe we're better than I thought we were. And then I was like, no, you're not. You're exactly what you thought you would be. So we've had to go back and fix that part of it, start fixing that part of it. And this group has to learn how to make those plays in the last 4 minutes, the last 5 minutes of a big game. In the Oregon game, we never had a chance to be in that situation, but until you've made big shots and big moments, there's always that, can I? Can I do it? I remember Crystal, her first game down at Florida State, going to the free throw line to ice the game and bricks both of them. I don't think she's missed 2 free throws since. So you have to, until you're in that situation and you're successful, there's always a wonder, can I? And then if you have 3 guys thinking like that on the court, that's a bad sign.
Do you like the role that Anna's in right now, coming off the bench, and do you see her starting at any point the rest of the year?
I think there's going to come a point where we're going to have to get her into the game sooner, whether that's as a starter or I don't know. But I know she has to be in the game sooner. And I know she has to touch the ball more, and she has to make more plays. So if that means I got to change the starting lineup, then that's what I'm going to do. But her minutes are not going to, I mean, I don't know how many minutes she's averaging, but it's got to be well over 30. That's not going to change. You always, ideally, you always like somebody coming off the bench that can really spark the offense a little bit, But at the same time, sometimes you don't have the luxury of being able to do that.
Do you worry that the team's going to look ahead to Monday, or because Memphis played you so tough last time?
No, I don't think we're looking forward to Monday. I think if anything, they probably want to avoid Monday after last Monday. I think tomorrow will be the sole focus of our team. I don't think they'll be thinking about anything other than Memphis, and especially since the game down there was such a grind, and it was a really physical, tough game. So I don't think we're going in like, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Was the defensive issues on Monday, how much of that to you was them just, I don't want to say getting exposed, but you said, they're exactly what I thought they could be, versus, obviously a very experienced offense that moves the ball better than most in the country, versus them just not executing what you worked on?
It's always a combination of the two. It's never one or the other. Whenever one team does something exceptionally well, the other team had to help in a way. So, both of those things are true. You have to play really, really well defensively to keep Oregon from getting the shots they want. Even if you do, they're going to get good shots because they're a good team and they've got smart players and they pass the ball well and they move well without the ball. So now if there's breakdowns, which we had a ton of, it's just going to snowball into they're already good. Now you just made them unbeatable. So we would have had to play exceptionally well defensively to give ourselves a chance. And we didn't. I mean, other than the way the game started in the first quarter, the rest of the time it was like, you look at you say it wasn't that bad, like it was, But it never felt like we were in any kind of position to I think we can, we can stop these guys 4 or 5 times in a row and get 4 or 5 buckets and get up 8. It never felt like that. It never felt like that. And a lot of it has to do because you can't get stops. Against them, it's like when teams play us, If we come down and score 6 times in a row, now the pressure's on you. And our defense has been really, really good most years. You can't. You're not getting 6 possessions in a row where you're scoring against us. So now all of a sudden the pressure to score just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting because your defense can't stop us. That's what it felt like the other night. We couldn't stop them. So there was so much pressure on us to score. That's not a recipe for winning games. Not at all.
Is it weird to sit on the other side of that?
Is it weird?
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but when it does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the age now, and I'm at the point with our program that I'm never, ever surprised. So somebody says, are you surprised by what happened Monday night? No. Why would I be? I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Because in most game situations, in the world of any game, one team doesn't win all the time. So because we've created that aura of this is what we do, there's this feeling of how could this possibly happen? And I'm at the age now where I go, how does this not happen more often? So I just kind of shake it off and go, yeah, I know why it happened. Let's see if we can fix it. Hell, it might happen the same Monday night, even worse, because we're on their home court. It's like when we played Louisville last year at Louisville, right? And we lost. And I think to myself, did we really think we were going to go 37 years in a row without ever losing to a good team like Louisville? That's just not possible. So when it finally does happen, it's like the Final Four with Mississippi State. It's like, we won 4 national championships. We really think we're going to win 8 in a row? At some point, somebody's going to win other than us. So you can't be like, devastated. Can't believe it happened. Now, I'm not going to cry at the press conference afterwards. Not when you're used to winning as much as we've won. What could be worse than that? To give the impression that no one else is allowed to win except you. Yeah, it bothered the hell out of me how we lost. Hell yeah, I was pissed. But when it came time to acknowledge it and understand it and know why it happened, I was good with that. I wouldn't schedule these games if I wanted to win every game. For all those years when we won all those games, I kept scheduling games thinking, today's the day, man. We need an ass kicking really bad. And it would never happen. It would never happen. And I wanted it to happen so bad. This team, I don't want it to happen because they don't need that. But some of those other teams, I was hoping they'd get their butts beat so bad. And they kept winning and kept winning and kept winning. It's really frustrating.
What do you think about what's outside of you guys, what's going on in the league? It seems like everyone's beating everyone
it is,
up.
huh?
And the other part of it is, if you run the table, is this going to be a one-bid league?
Oh, I don't know about that. I have no idea. I mean, there's as good a chance maybe we don't win the league this year. Who knows? I don't know. I've said this the last couple of years. If you took us out of the league, league is really, really competitive. The problem that we've had in this league is they don't win enough non-conference games. So every game you lose in a conference is doubly bad. Usually if you win enough non-conference games, losing to a team in your conference doesn't hurt you. But, yeah, you took us out of this league right now, or the past 7 years, it's a very competitive league among themselves. But, you got to do better in non-conference. That's where your reputation is made. You got to win more non-conference games.
The second place team in the league is Tulane. Their RPI is 145.
What can I tell you? And it's all from your non-conference schedule and what your record is in a non-conference. Because if you have a non-conference schedule like that, then you have to win every game in the conference. It's who you play really matters. Who you lose to really matters. And that goes for our league. It goes for any league. If you come to Connecticut and if you play at UConn and you lose to us, that they don't even count that in the NCAA tournament. You go to some places where you're supposed to win and you lose that game, you can't recover from that. Sometimes you can't recover from that. That's why it's so important in your scheduling that you schedule certain games that that even if you lose those games, it's okay. But then those other games that you schedule, you have to win. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, I think you have 5 in the top 10 RPI. Okay, you lost twice to, I think, 1 and 2 now. I think Baylor and Oregon are 1, 2 in RPI. Your RPI is already down to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are, if you lose to South Carolina, that you can't get better than a 3 seed.
Who cares? Who cares? Seriously.
Well, you're top 4.
Who cares? Who cares? I mean, really. I mean, I'm to the point where do I really think that if you don't beat Baylor, and you don't beat Oregon, and you don't beat South Carolina, okay, that you deserve a 1 or 2 seed? No. I could care less. Really. Everybody had a heart attack last year. We were number 2 seed. So what? So what? It doesn't matter. Once March comes, here's the teams you got to play. Go play. Who you're seeded against. Could care less.
Now that you're most of the way through the season, I don't know how much you've watched other teams too, but is it possible that by the end of this all, Baylor, South Carolina, Oregon, are they like the 3 teams that are kind of removed themselves from the rest possibly as the best in the country?
Maybe they have. Maybe they have. Based on what's happened so far, yeah, I would say that those 3 teams are at a different level right now than, and at the same time when Oregon lost at Arizona State, was everybody ready to count them out as a 1 seed? I read someplace where they said if Oregon loses at Connecticut, they're a number 2 seed. Like, who comes up with that? So I if you ask me, the 3 best teams that I've seen are Oregon, Baylor, and South Carolina. That's why I'm glad I was in the hospital when we went to be number 1 in the country. Because if I wasn't already there, I would have checked myself in when I said, "Who's voting on this poll?"